So I wanted to share something with you today that is more of a personal deep dive that I hope triggers some insights and clarity for you as well. And this is regarding our internal motivators to actually do something, which can also act as our breaks for us to procrastinate on doing things. So this past week has been a week of intense, more intense than usual, self-reflection. And I've been looking at what drives me to do things in different areas of my life. And especially what I'll be sharing here was what I was pondering on is, why am I not sharing the things that I want to share on YouTube? So I had to really dive deep into see, okay, so this is something that I actually want. I know I want. I feel that desire. I'm not doing it. What is keeping the resistance? What's putting my foot on the brake so that this doesn't seem to happen? So there's something that's weighing more on the side of the I don't want to, rather than on the side of, yes, I want to do this. So that's a deep dive that I went on this week, and specifically for you too, the last couple of days, that I want to share here that I feel might be useful. And it's been enlightening for me because I see that this is actually a pattern, a set of behaviors and patterns that I see in other areas of my life. So in business, in family relationships, in closer, intimate partnerships, I see this playing out, these dynamics in a lot of different areas in my life. So what I'll be sharing here, it's already a somewhat digested version of the deep dive, so it will sound a lot more casual and a lot more light than it actually was. This was painful. At times, a lot of tension coming up, and a sense of guilt, a sense of shame at some of the things that were coming up. But the reason that I am sharing this here with you today is because I feel that this would be always a distraction for me if I didn't share it. So I would be out of integrity if I continued to share all the other things that I feel inspired to share, that I want to share, that I love to share, more in lines of processes, of discoveries, of insights, those types of tools that light me up to share. But if this that I'm going to be talking about soon would not be put out on the table as well, it feels to me that it's almost like someone having a little bit of spinach or something in between their teeth, and when you're looking at them, you're trying to hear what they say, but that little thing in there keeps distracting you, so you're not even paying attention. It would be an internal spinach on my own teeth. So I wouldn't really be able to share things from a freer flow with these internal drivers not being out in the open, in the public. So sounds a little dramatic, and it's not dramatic, it's human, honestly. So what happened, or how did I actually go about noticing what was causing the brakes being put on? So this week I've been listening, and the last week, to a lot of interviews with Peter Crone. He's called the Mind Architect, brilliant guy. If you want, check him out on YouTube. Really highly recommend his interviews for greater self-reflection, self-awareness of the behaviors that we do that are compensations for needs that we feel are not being met for us. So these are behaviors that usually stem from when we are little children, and that we feel that we don't have our needs met, so we have to find workarounds behaviors to try and control the environment and try and get those needs met. So he has his own set of needs, but the framework that I used for myself, because I'm more familiar with it, was the frame of the Sedona Method. So in the Sedona Method, we have 4 pairs of wants. So things that we want, and a lot of them can be unconscious, but they drive our behaviors, the way that we present ourselves, the way that we interact. I want to be perceived as smart. I want to be perceived as pretty. I want to be perceived as loving. I want to be perceived as in a certain way, because that will get me what I want. That will get me connection. That will get me praise. That will get me loving attention. That will get me security. Those things. So we have basic wants that then start coloring our own personality, our own persona, how we interact with the world. In the Sedona Method, these wants are pairs of wants, are wanting to be approved of, so wanting approval, which can be as well wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved, wanting to be praised, wanting to be accepted. That's one end of that wanting approval spectrum. And then we have the wanting disapproval, which might sound weird, but it's a wanting to really be disapproved of, to be in trouble, to be the rebel. So it might sound odd for us that we want that, but quite honestly speaking, from my own experience, sometimes I love being the rebel. It's like, nope, I don't want to do that, and you might frown on me, but screw it, I'm doing it the way that I want to. So wanting to be the rebel. There's a disapproval that might come with that, but there's an inner sense of, yeah, but I like it. So that's the first pair, wanting approval or wanting disapproval. And we have the second one, and these are in no order. It's just 4 different pairs. Wanting control and wanting to be controlled. So wanting control is on the side of wanting control, wanting to fix something, wanting to make something happen, that wanting control. Wanting to figure something out, I love that one. And then there's the wanting to be controlled, which sounds weird. And for me, it didn't ever make sense until actually this week, when I read other possible ways that this shows up. Is wanting as well to be told what to do, wanting to be taken care of. So when we are children, this is natural for us. And in areas where we might feel, I'll speak for myself, for example, in the area of money, of generating money through my business specifically, I still feel this, I want to be taken care of, because it's an area that still has a lot of hurt and disempowering images and experiences from the past that still aren't integrated. So the reverting back to, I want to be taken care of, I want to be told what to do. I won't go into details, but okay, can look in a myriad different ways. That's wanting to be controlled. Moving to the third, there's a wanting security, so wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel secure, wanting physical integrity, emotional, mental integrity, and there's a wanting survival, which never really made sense to me as well until this week, when I noticed that, yeah, wanting survival, and this can be a state of physiological survival, where we feel that the adrenaline, the tension, or it can be financial survival, can be a relational type of on the edge, I don't know what will happen type of survival. So that's the other side of this. And even though this is not usually something that we consciously choose, there is a level of addictiveness. It might sound weird, but there is a level of addictiveness, of pleasure that comes from that danger, sense of danger. So it's probably what leads people to go on skydiving expeditions, to do things that there's that adrenaline rush, and the wanting survival seems to be very connected with that. Then we have the last one, wanting oneness, which is wanting connection, wanting to merge with something or someone, wanting to be part of, and wanting separation. So wanting to be perceived as different, stand apart, stand out, to be perceived as special. All of those are part of the wanting separation. So we have these 4 pairs, and that was a framework that I was analyzing. What exactly do I want from YouTube, from sharing things on YouTube? And I was, to be honest and fair with myself, I was looking more towards the shadow things than necessarily the positive, expansive things. Those came later. So first I wanted to dive into, okay, so what's the shadow here? What's lurking underneath the surface that's putting the brakes on, that's keeping me from actually sharing the things that I want? And first one that I looked at, and I have my written ponderings, contemplations right in front of me. So the first on pages of them, of those contemplations. First one that I did look was the one that felt more surface to me. So wanting approval. I want to feel approved of. I want to feel praised. I want to feel that admired. I want to feel respected. I want to feel valued. Really, it's a really deep sense of that. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel valued. I want to feel admired. So that was and is still there. And let me just interject here that I know, and you probably do as well, that these types of needs will never be satisfied by anything or anyone outside, because these are feeling states, stories, incomplete experiences that we've had in the past. And if we just keep on getting what we want from the external world, first, it's lovely, feels good. Second, it disappears fairly fast, which is, it's like the hungry ghosts. It really creates a vicious cycle, because we get that hit of, ooh, I'm feeling, or I'm speaking again for myself, I get that hit of, ooh, I'm feeling that approval, I'm feeling valued, I'm feeling appreciated. And then I want more, because obviously whatever was inside was not satisfied by that external approval. And I am blessed, and I know that this is a blessing that not many people have. I am blessed to have a lot of love, appreciation, approval, admiration coming in my direction from intimate relationships and from clients as well. And still the need for it is here. So this is something that all of these needs, that wants that I'll share, I know that these need to be met by myself, within myself. So to gift those states, to feel those states, to immerse myself in those states, and to allow those parts of my own consciousness that feel disconnected from feeling that way or living from those states, to allow those parts to start integrating, dissolving that tension, those barriers that are in place, coming back home and being able to live within those states, within myself, which then frees me to actually do what I feel inspired to do, and let the world, let you respond however you feel inspired to respond, if you feel inspired to respond at all. Excuse me. Apparently there's a part of me that's still not too happy about that. Work in progress. So first one, looking for wanting approval. Then I was looking at the other side, wanting disapproval, wanting to be a rebel. It doesn't really have too much here. So for me, in this pair of wants, it's really the wanting to feel approved of, to feel admired, to feel respected, to feel loved, to feel yeah, I think it's that, feel valued. That one has a lot of charge for me. Then I moved to control, wanting control. Didn't really resonate a lot in this particular context of YouTube, sharing things on YouTube. But then I went to wanting to be controlled. And although it's to a much lesser degree at this point in time, it brought up something really interesting that has been lurking underneath the surface for quite a while. I wasn't aware of it, obviously, so it might have been lurking underneath the surface since the beginning, not just with YouTube, but with a general perspective, and that is the wanting to be taken care of. And you might go, how does that look like on YouTube? This is one of those that actually brought up a little bit of shame. So this one was hard for me to go there. But yeah, once acknowledged, it's not controlling my behavior as much. So it's still present. I know it's still there, but once it comes from the unconscious to the conscious, it's a lot easier to be able to be open to and love this part of my own consciousness that says that I want to be taken care of. And how would this look on YouTube? It's a really interesting fantasy of being discovered somehow. Someone of power, status, success, whatever we want to call it, someone of that already has it made on YouTube and success, and business, something like that, would discover me and would introduce me to pretty much a big audience, and I would have it made. So someone would deliver to me the keys to success. So this sounds really interesting to even say it like this. I don't think it's that uncommon. Then again, I might be wrong. But it is really interesting to have that sort of a fantasy. It reminds me now of models as well. Models as in fashion models. Wanting to be discovered, wanting to be almost put on a scenario where everything's already made for me. And I just go in and just enjoy myself, sharing what I want to share. And ta-da! It's all done for me. Success, it's handed. The keys to success handed to me. So that, again, as I mentioned, is not as strong as the wanting to feel admired, wanting to feel valued, wanting to feel that I have value in what I'm sharing, wanting to feel appreciated. It's not as strong, but it is still there, the wanting to be discovered, to be taken care of. And all of this goes down to financial, monetary security, wanting to be taken care of. So after that, I moved on to security, the pair of wanting security or wanting survival. Wanting survival, well, only if I like stress. And it's not that stressful. I've removed as much friction as possible from actually sharing the things that I want to share on YouTube, so that's not as present. Wanting security, again, it's another distinction that to a degree might be there for me not to share things on YouTube. It's because of the awareness that even as I share things on YouTube, in practical terms, YouTube is a really trustworthy, in my perspective, and experienced platform to take care of my safety in terms of comments and bullying and all those things. I never really had to deal with any of that. Matter of resonance as well, but I do think that YouTube has good things in place, good structures in place to protect its content creators. So from that side, I don't really have an issue. But what kind of came up as I was pondering on the security arena was that by virtue of me being on screen and sharing, and you on that side listening, there is a resonance that's being established. to varying degrees, depending on how much you're paying attention, or how much you resonate with what I share, with who I am. So, but at any rate, there is a level of resonance that's happening. And it's not just resonance from your side towards what I'm saying. Resonance is a bridge. When it's established, it connects both people. So the fact that I'm speaking with you, it influences you, again, to whatever degree it does, your ways of thinking, perhaps, the feeling senses, the way that you're feeling in your embodiment, it influences you. But the fact that you are there and you are tuning into what I'm sharing, even across time and different distances, space, also influences me. So that's part of the energetics of connections, and we understand this when there is a physical connection and interaction between two people, but that same thing happens, albeit to a different, lesser degree, because the resonance has to go through a lot of different layers and energies in the online world, in the internet. So it goes through the astral, many different layers. But there's still influence on both sides. And that's one of the reasons, perhaps, that I don't really know that I want my YouTube channel to have huge numbers of people watching, at least until I am so present in my own embodiment, strong in my energy field, in my energy field membrane, in my centering, that whatever interactions might be there that would cause an interference for me, I can just let it all be part of the processing, releasing, processing, integrating what's useful for me, releasing what's not. So I'm still building that capacity within myself, within my energy field, within my energy field membrane. That's what we've shared as well in past videos, how to protect our energy. So until that point, I'm good with having beautiful people. Maybe not those many people, because again, resonance, but beautiful people that are loving, that are caring, that are in resonance with what I share. And that way we are able to support each other higher, higher, and higher. So that's what came up for me in terms of security. Then we have the last pair, so wanting oneness and wanting separation. Wanting oneness, to feel connected, it is there, but if I'm honest, the shadow side is a lot more intense, which is the wanting separation, in the sense of wanting to feel special, wanting to stand out, wanting to be perceived as different, as special, standing out as this just sounds wrong, but that's what's coming up, higher than the common human. Sorry if that triggers something, but it is what it is. So that's the more shadow desire, is to be perceived as special, to feel unique, to feel or to stand out. So that is a strong desire in there as well. I've been talking mostly on the shadow side, by the way, because if I look at the positive desire, what is fueling it, and that's why I started with the shadow, because I wanted to see it, but then really ask, so why exactly do I want to share things? And there is a desire to connect, yes, but mostly it feels like it's almost compelling, like birds feel compelled to sing. It feels like that there is this compelling, I want to share things. I feel energized when I do. I feel that sense of inspiration, of downloads, of energy flowing through me, of movement, of enlivening. I love that feeling. Still a selfish purpose in a way, but I love that feeling. I love that, and I love the clarity that comes as I share. I love knowing that what I share might trigger some insight on the other side, on you receiving it. It might inspire you, it might bring clarity to something in your life. I love that feeling as well, and it feels to me that it's somehow it's part of my work, my design, my purpose, if we want to call it purpose, soul's mission. Apparently it's a buzz catchphrase as well, but I feel that it's so enlivening and it's so inspiring and it's so satisfying and fulfilling when I actually do it, that it's got to be part of my own design, of my own purpose, of my own work, mission, sharing here. So that's on the positive side, what I've dialed in on, that I want to bring more to the forefront as well. And that's why I'm sharing this video, because I did make that decision that, okay, I now have my needs acknowledged. There might be more, they might surface as time goes on, but I have them more clear for me now. So when they come up, for example, I'll publish the video and then I will start feeling that craving to see, oh, okay, let me see if I have any comments. Let me see how many people saw it. Let me see if there are likes. So those things will come up. And as they do, how will I handle them? So the Sedona Method is one way. So in the Sedona Method, they ask you, okay, so I'm feeling, let's say that I'm noticing that I'm wanting that approval. I'm wanting to feel, yeah, well, if I'm looking at the comments or looking at the likes, I'm wanting to feel that sense of appreciation, of admiration, of approval. I can ask myself, and it's more powerful if I actually notice what the underlying feeling is. And if you hear something, that's neighbor hammering away at their own unconscious wants and needs. So I might see, okay, I want to feel that admiration. Let's say it's admiration. Or I'm wanting to feel valued, although that's a little bit more less clear. So I want to feel that admiration. In the Sedona Method, they would ask, okay, so would I be willing to let go of wanting admiration? Would I be willing to? The answer might be a yes or might be a no. It's usually a yes, because the wanting is tension. There's a pattern of tension somewhere in our body. So there's a wanting, a craving, and when we want or we crave something, it's because we feel that we don't have it. We feel disconnected from it. And the wanting of it only reinforces that tension and that feeling, that need to get it from the outside. So the question itself is not excuse me, apparently stuff moving yet again, wanting to let go of wanting admiration. We're wanting to let go of the wanting itself, not of the receiving admiration, of the feeling admiration, but the wanting. So are you willing, am I willing to let go of wanting admiration? To a degree, I can say yes. Could I let go of wanting admiration? It's another question. Could I? Do I have the ability to? Yes. It's a pattern of tension. I'm feeling it. I can let go of that wanting. I can, even in my embodiment, get a little bit back centered again in my body. I could. Will I let go, or do I let go now, for now, of wanting admiration or approval? Yes. And if the answer is a no, it's a no. Go back to, would I be willing to let go? Could I let go? When am I willing to let go? Do I now let go? Okay, and when the answer is yes, there will be a sense of relief. So that is one possible route for that, to start helping release the craving itself, the want part of the equation. On the other hand, we can also practice, and it's not either or, it's both are approaches that can be very useful, to start triggering those feelings. So triggering a feeling of admiration. If I bring up the feeling of admiration within myself, I can be admiring something, admiring a beautiful picture, admiring something beautiful in nature, and I am feeling that admiration, and then I can soften and receive that energy. That energy is already flowing through me, so I am already feeling it. But it might not reach that part of me that has that tension wall. So that's why it doesn't feel that sense of admiration, approval, valuing, respect, whatever the case might be. So with admiration or valuing, let's continue with admiration. I'm looking at something that I admire, or someone actually that I admire what they're doing, what they're demonstrating. And as I'm feeling that, first I can map the embodiment cues like we've done in previous sessions here as well, to see how I do admiration in my body. And if I have that as a written map, then I can trigger it for myself and to feel it, to immerse myself in it whenever I want, including when I'm feeling the craving. I can unwind from craving, and we have that here as well, the embodiment of wanting. So we can undo those cues and then bring up the feeling of admiration, soften, and allow myself to feel it, let it, it's almost like striking a tuning fork, and let it reverberate all the way through my body and through my field. So that's a way of actually fulfilling those needs. And especially if there's a part of our body, I'll speak for myself, there's a part of my body, so note to self, there's a part of my body where I feel that, okay, this is the contraction, the part of my consciousness where I feel disconnected from feeling valued, from feeling admired, from feeling appreciated. When I actually trigger those feelings within myself, then I can almost surround that part that I feel in my body or in my energy field, and give it the opportunity, not force those energies inside, but it's almost like making available that energy all around it, so that if it wants, can start to immerse itself a little bit more, and a little bit more in those feelings. And that will help as well to eventually integrate that experience that I've had, or that identity that came out of the meanings that I made from the experiences that weren't integrated in my past. So those are two powerful ways that we can actually work with this. Third is pure self-acceptance. And this is what Peter Crone himself advocates, suggests, works with, which is, okay, I'm noticing this part of myself that wants to feel love, that wants to get that love from the outside, that wants to have that admiration from the outside. And I know that this is not who I am as a being. This is a part of my consciousness that formed certain structures, formed certain beliefs about life, about herself, that are a contraction of my whole self, of my whole being. So if my whole being was this is a contraction of my wholeness. So I know that this is not who I am, but who I am is broad enough that I can embrace it. And this embracing can feel like, or I'll speak for myself, how I can tune into it. And for me is I tune into my core line. There's a technique for everything apparently. I tune into my core line. I'm present as best I can in my core line. I start feeling my body as well, start feeling the interface of my body with my subtler energy field. So start feeling my skin and feel my energy field around me. So I'm feeling tension, contraction. I want to have this admiration, this love coming from the outside. So that I can feel as a pattern of tension in my body. And for me to actually be the loving space for that part of my consciousness, what I found, at least for now, that works for me is I'm present again in my core, aware in terms of the feeling sense of my core. I'm aware of my body and my skin because it feels more, it's easier to feel the energetic sensations of my energy field around me. And when I can hold all of these 3 different layers in my awareness, so core, skin all around my body, and my energy, the space, if we want, the space around me, so my energy around me, then it starts, it's what Joe Dispenza calls a divergent focus. It creates coherence, and it creates that sense of spaciousness where the contraction of that want can then do what it will do. To a large degree, we can't really expect a certain pathway of this will happen if I do this, but more often than not, what I've experienced when I hold this space and then I can bring a feeling of lovingness, of caring, is that level of coherence from the core and from the spaciousness, the divergent focus, and the loving feeling that is kind of the tone that's pulsating all over my field. The contraction starts to pulsate, to vibrate, starts to move, and starts to integrate. And it's a layer, so there are layers, probably upon layers of these desires, of these contractions that we have, because we want these things and then we push against wanting them, so there's a lot there. But this particular method, awareness on the core, awareness on my body, skin, awareness on the space, my energy field, and that feeling of lovingness, for me it feels like a really powerful space to allow these smaller contractions of my consciousness to reconnect with a broader level of my own self, of my own beingness, of a truer feeling sense of who I am. And yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now, because it is a felt experience. So if you want to play with it, go ahead, enjoy, experiment in your own life. It can be really, really, really powerful. Self-loving way for us to be present with ourselves and to help ourselves meet those needs from our younger selves as well. And I think that for now I feel complete with this that I wanted to share with you. Hopefully it was interesting, it was a help perhaps in helping clarify some of the things in your life as well, bring them to the surface, make them more conscious, and inspire you to start meeting perhaps a little bit more of those needs that come up for you within yourself lovingly, and enjoying that freedom to fully express then whatever you feel inspired and called to express from your heart and soul. thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And again, hope this was useful. Do let me know if you have any questions, any comments, any love that you want to share. It's all beautiful and obviously very welcome. So thank you for joining me here, and I'll see you in the next video.